scenario where civilization starts over. Let's get into it. This is season 2, episode 18 of the series, and we get right into it. So, fun fact about this episode is actually supposed to be episode 15, not 18. And the reason why it didn't work out being 15 is because of recording issues. So that's when episode 15, then 16, then 17, and now we've decided to do this episode, which maybe some things will happen here. We're actually going to be starting over here. We're going to be seeing Vietnam. They don't discover the whole world in light, but they will be discovering this island and making a few small naval landings over here, and we'll start exploring these dense areas of the Sumatra Island. And their little exploration area looks like this. They also, from this major city here, will be making a sort of journey down here on accident, and we'll be making a small landing here. So basically, Vietnam thinks both of these are separate landmasses, even though they're just one, but we're going to see how that goes in the future. Yeah. Let's go to Korea now, as Korea, which is definitely the most successful nation that has stemmed from China. Oh wait, it's the only nation that has stemmed from China, other than China themselves. Yeah, that makes sense. But Korea is going to go ahead and greatly expand its borders across these Korean regions. Eventually, they will be able to colonize the entirety of the Korean region here, and eventually they are going to go up along these coastlines, hoping to find more land, or colonize more. There's definitely more land up here. That doesn't happen, but well, eventually what happens is more people are going to go ahead and start exploring these areas over here, as a rapid campaign is made to go ahead and explore this area here, and eventually this campaign is going to, in fact, be, if like anything else, they're successful. Yeah, it's going to be very successful. And well, because of this, after I color these islands, we can see that a lot of Asia is now discovered, and most of what's Asia that's left is the Southeast Asia, Japan, and Siberia. That's basically all left of Asia. And maybe a small dot or two around the west area here, but that doesn't really matter. Yeah. Let's go down to Taiwan now, as China is going to be making a naval landing on Taiwan and colonize the island. What's going to happen next is China is going to go ahead and make a landing on the Philippines, and will be greatly exploring the island, or at least the North Island, and their explorationist forces will go up to about here, before the forces stop. Because when Korea left, basically they were just a giant migration group, and people were determined to leave. And this Korean group thing makes more people determined to leave. Seeing how successful Korea is, many people want to leave China and go on the trade routes, leave for India, leave for Southeast Asia, with all the opportunity down here, with these pockets of discovery here. And also maybe knowing of Europe's existence, some theorize that maybe if you go east, there might be a Europe that way. Yeah, but who knows? We can see. So, because of this, we can see in many groups going out into the Chinese area. And we'll be starting with this group. The group that's most determined to go east, maybe to get to the most successful part of the world, which is Europe. And what's the proof for that? There, power rankings, yeah. And economical alliances. And I just put the defensive pact here for alliance purposes. I don't want to make a whole new layer. Oh, by the way, these alliance layers are separated, but power rankings, India and China are both on the top 10 rankings, but they want to go to, maybe India. They want to go to India. They also want to go to strong nations like Egypt, Iberia, Lithuania, Germany, North Scotland, Italy, and Iberia. So basically, all the Western European nations. So basically, all these people want to go here, and basically that's what their goals. So one group is going to set out from the Chinese capital, going straight, and another is going to set out from here. One that's over here is going to be making, settling on this island, and eventually they will make a landing here, like this. And eventually, the next group is going to go ahead and discover this tiny thing here. And nobody really knows of it. But then the group continues sailing and is going to work to sail across the Pacific. And who knows where they're going now, but maybe they're going in a different direction called the Americas. Yeah. Eventually, when we go back to this Japanese group here, we can see that this Japanese group thingy-majingy will be going ahead and discovering the entire north part of the Japanese Isles here. And this thing eventually will be able to discover the whole Japanese Isles, and even with some forces will go down here and discover this one. Yeah. Eventually, two new groups have landed in the Japanese Isles, which have been sight-seized, but now they're going here, and well, yeah. They basically go ahead and discover this whole island, and eventually will be working their way up the Japanese Isles. Yeah. And let's go back here now, as there's more people wanting to go up north to the trade route. Many people see a lot of opportunity over here up in the trade route, so there's going to be a few settlements popping up on this trade route. The first settlement that pops up is over here on this part of the trade route, as this one is kind of slammy in the center between this country here and China. And well, basically, this thing will be going ahead and expanding greatly, mainly across these southern areas, hoping to still get connections with China. And well, they're mainly focusing on the south, as that's where most of Chinese ports are. China has built ports of trade over here for them to get money from, but they haven't claimed this area. But also two new settlements will pop up over here. One small orangey looking one over here, and another blue thingy. Yeah. This isn't actually the original color, but still it should be fine. Yeah. Basically, these are the three settlements, and these are all having opportunity. And the golden one is by far the most popular, as it's going to be able to go ahead and continue to expand across these rivers, as they go ahead and eventually make a connection with the ocean itself, which is very good for an early on nation in Eastern Asia that isn't already connected to the ocean. Eventually, this thing is so popular, it's going to be able to expand all the way to about here. And China can't really do much. That's the thing with China. China is trying to, keep on to their people, so that's why they're not able to do anything about this. And this is 25% of their population kind of populated. But basically 25% of the population left China, and close to 50. But about half of that went to here, but eventually people from here went to these two places. Yeah. Let's go down here now, as a new nation is established in Southeast Asia. As the dark red Southeast Asian country is established, also on the trade routes hoping to get opportunity, or find it, yeah. And this thing is very successful as well, having about 5% of China's population, and it's able to reach the coastlines of the modern Vietnamese areas. Yeah. And basically this thing is just going to become very powerful, and then sort of scramble for Southeast Asia is going to happen. India is going to start rapidly expanding into these areas, wanting to get as much of the trade route and just land in general as possible, so that other nations can't even get it. I mean, makes sense. And India will mainly be focusing on this river, as they start to make a sort of unofficial border along this river. And eventually, the border is basically just the river at this point. Yeah. They will also be having a huge focus on this river as well, making their border here, and this is the official border of India and other things. As the Vietnamese will also be going up and claiming a huge territory here. Eventually, the Southeast Asian thing is going to go ahead and claim, well, more Southeast Asia, and it's starting to look something like this. Yeah, I think I could make some of these borders a bit better, but I can do that later. And China just isn't able to expand into these areas, as they're still trying to hold on to their people. Going up here, we can see that India, ever since Southeast Asia, is going to continue rapid expansion over into Tibet. Tibetan regions are now being rapidly explored into and colonized by India as India starts a massive expansion campaign over into here, and eventually this is the most successful expansion campaign in Indian history. Well, India is #1 in the world, so that's something. But they are really a lot stronger than anybody. They could probably defeat all these East Asian areas if they really wanted to. But they're just not because they're on a peaceful route, even though they're a dictatorship. I'm pretty sure they were democracy though. I don't know why. I think it just switched to dictatorship all of a sudden. And this is basically what India takes. And this is over a few years, so let's go to Persia now. As another thing with India is going to happen, as Persia is going to start rapidly expanding into Persian regions. And while the Persians will be finding archaeology of a once great Persian empire here, they found it over, they found that archaeology roughly in here, and well, basically, they want to recreate this quote-unquote empire from archaeology. And yeah, they basically find a bunch of archaeology hinting that they might not be the first ones. Yeah. And basically, these Persians, seeing this archaeology, want to, quote-unquote, make it happen again by, adding, by making, the empire existent again. As they want to sort of live on what is according to the archaeology. So they would be going ahead and expanding across this river, and Central Asia will even start to get involved, as they want to do something. Yeah. And eventually they will be going ahead and exploring more, expanding into more, and not that much. And they would be expanding into these areas. Yeah. India is also going to get into this, and is going to go ahead and claim all of this territory. Yeah. And India is absolutely giant. Yeah. If I can sort of see, India is definitely the largest country in the world by now. But eventually they will be continuing to expand across here like this. Yeah. Going to Central Asia, we can see Central Asia is really going crazy, as they have a huge focus on the trade route, and are hoping to get more, trade routes on the official territorial claims. Yeah. Eventually, this one is going to go ahead and connect up with the Central Asian nation, and eventually the unofficial border thing will look something like this. Yeah. If we go over here, we can see more nations will start to rapidly explore into Siberian regions, as they want to, explore. What else would they want to do if they're exploring? Take it? Yeah, they probably want to do that. Yeah. Going over to Japan, we can see that more areas are going to start to be explored in Japan. And basically, eventually, after a little while, all of the entire isles, the main isle of Japan, yeah, which is definitely their tiny island, is going to be explored. Eventually, this island is discovered, and eventually, all these people will be becoming so advanced that they will be able to sort of explore over into all these islands here. And even they will be able to make a small landing over here in Siberia, and that landing will look something like this. Eventually going down to Japan, a few nations would be established, not the ocean. This nation that's going to be established is this southern Japanese nation over here, over in this island here. And this one is the strongest of the Japanese nations, since it's the first Japanese nation. That makes sense. The next nation is going to be this little lime nation over here, and this one is decently big. The next one is going to be this pretty large purple nation here, and it's going to look like this, which kind of isolates the red one, which the red one doesn't like. So they're just going to go ahead and claim some islands for peace, and even this tiny island is claimed. But these don't find anybody there because those sailors are still out in the ocean. Yeah. Eventually, a new nation is going to be established up here, and it looks like this. And one final nation is going to be established right in the center of the Japanese Isles. And this nation is going to be looking something like this. Yeah. And nobody claims this area, so well, other nations are wanting to claim it. And eventually, I forgot a color, so another nation is going to form. And it's going to be this orange nation here, as they will be claiming all this territory. Eventually, the purple one, which is now the strongest Japanese island nation, is going to go ahead and claim a lot more territory. The blue one will also claim its own territory. The green one will claim a tiny bit more. And the rest of this will just go over to the orange thing. And this is the division of the Japanese Isles. That was very quick. Let's go over to these sailors now. As going across the world to Hawaii, the sailors have landed in Hawaii. And well, eventually they will island hop themselves all the way over to, like, the entire Hawaii island thingy. Yeah. And eventually some of these people will decide to establish a nation here. As the Hawaiian nation is formed by some of these sailors that don't really want to sail anymore. About half the group. And the other half of the group will continue going and maybe, hopefully, are going to reach Europe. And they decide that they are going to go north a tiny bit, but that's what some believe. They believe that they are on like a remote island, like here or something. Let's just say they think they're here. Some people think they should go here because they think they're here, and others think they're here so that they should go here in the corner. So two groups are going to form. One is going to go straight, and another is going to go at an angle. Yeah. And yeah, that's basically where the sailing goes. And let's get back to East Asia. As China is finally organizing their crisis, their people putting what is this? A migration crisis? No, it's not migration. It's degradation. Whatever the word is. Yeah. As the Chinese are finally able to expand into more of these territories here, and eventually we'll be going ahead and expanding all the way over here. Yeah. Their territory looks something like this now. Going over here, we can see that the tiny orange nation is going to be continuing to expand as they are going to try to get as much as possible. Just like everybody wants. They want as much as they can in this world. And just like all the worlds that we know, which is Earth, and also Earth, and maybe also Earth. Yeah. Oh, what am I saying? I don't know, but well, this blue nation is going to go ahead and go across this river. As the blue nation looks something like this. Eventually the gold nation is going to go ahead and expand into these areas, as this thing is becoming a very successful trading hub. Yeah. Eventually, a new nation is going to be established over here in Tibet. As people who aren't of any, like, Indian or anything, they just kind of pop up here, and this tiny group is just something small wanting to, like, exist. These are new people, by the way. Just saying. Going back to Siberia, eventually nations will go ahead and eventually fully discover the Siberian area. Well, how did this happen? People were determined to discover this region in order to maybe find new lands for opportunity. And especially opportunity over here, as they will also be going ahead and basically being in this little tiny corner thing of Russia thing of the thing over here in close to Alaska, basically. They're basically over here, and some boats are set off, and eventually these boats will be making a landing in Alaska. This is the third human settlement in the Americas, and it looks like American human settlement in the Americas, other than Hawaii, is kind of racking up. Started with this thing, eventually came to this, and now this. Let's go back to here. As we're going to be seeing Korea go ahead and expand across these rivers as they go ahead and control more and colonize more Siberian lands. Yeah. Eventually they will reach this river, and they won't expand that much, but they will be expanding a decent bit over of here as the Koreans are starting to become a more powerful nation in the world. Yeah. Eventually the Koreans will be able to fully colonize this coastline here as they're working towards expanding up here. Yeah. Let's go over. Where should we go now? Oh, there's a lot going on. Let's go to Southeast Asia. As the Vietnamese little exploration groups will be meeting up over here, and they've now realized that maybe there's a lot of little islands out here. As they have just discovered a few more islands, like an abnormal amount of islands. As these guys are just island hopping across all these islands, which is unlikely for a lot of things. Eventually, they will even discover this chain of islands, including North Sentinel and all these other islands. They will be going ahead and exploring all the rest of these islands, which is kind of unusual for Vietnam and any other place because there's kind of not this many islands anywhere. Then you discover these islands, that tiny thing, yeah. Eventually, China's explorations will continue along the Philippines, as they will go ahead and explore more. Eventually, China is going to decide to start a small colony in the Philippines, as they will be claiming this part of the northern Philippines. Going to Vietnam, we can see that the Vietnamese will be continuing their explorations down Sumatra, eventually discovering the whole island, and eventually they will be able to discover about half of the island of Java. Yeah. Going back up here to the north, we can see that the Vietnamese will be going ahead and making a pretty large-ish, not that large, but pretty decently large-ish colony thingy over here. And it looks something like this. And basically just colonize these areas. And we'll even be claiming this island over here. And eventually these two islands will be claimed by Vietnam. And Vietnam is pretty decently big in size. Yeah. Let's go over here, as we can see that the gold thing is going to be going ahead and continue their rapid expansions across this area, and will even be able to cut off the blue and orange countries from expanding up north. Yeah. Eventually they will go ahead and explore all of this area here, as eventually their expanded into claimed territories will be looking like this. Yeah. They are one of the largest countries in the world, actually. And Asia looks like it's getting more filled, which it definitely is. Asia's definitely probably the second most filled continent by percentage. Europe is the most with almost 100. But Asia's second, Africa, Oceania, and South America are last. Why am I talking about continents? I don't know, but let's just go back up here to Korea, as the Koreans will be going ahead and expanding a bunch more. That's what Korea looks like. And finally, going over to the Americas. Let's start in California, as a new group of humans is going to pop up in Southern California. This is a totally new group. This is not the sailors from here. Yeah. Back to these sailors. These sailors from Hawaii will be making it over to California in Northern California. The sailors have discovered the Americas to get new opportunity. And the final sailors from here that is going west eventually will be going east. They will be going ahead and landing over here in Mexico like this. And this is the sixth human colony in North America. And a secret group actually came and went this direction, and eventually they went through the Galapagos, which I'm pretty sure that's what they're called. Yeah. And eventually this group, which was secretive, is going to be making a landing in the South American area. And that's going to do it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed today's scenario where civilization started over. See you next episode, where we will be seeing a lot more happening around the world, maybe over in these undiscovered territories. Bye!